The El Nino weather patterns that have induced drought conditions in South Africa are raising food inflation concerns. Experts, however, warn that government should stay clear of panic-induced policy interventions to address the challenges presented by the impact of climate change on food production. To discuss this, I'm now joined by Dr. Bruce Damons from the Nelson Mandela University's Food Systems Program. He's the Director of Engagement. Dr. Damons, appreciate your time this afternoon. I'd like to start off with what seem to be drought weather conditions as opposed to actual drought. What is the difference between conditions versus actual drought that we're experiencing at the moment?
Good afternoon, Hugo, and good afternoon to your viewers. Let me first put a caveat up front. I'm definitely not a climate expert. And so our primary focus is then to really explore how do we respond to some of these contextual realities of climate change, especially as it impacts communities at the coalface, given some of the historical and contemporary challenges. So with the drought, I can give you my thoughts on that. Where the drought would be the actual change of climate caused by global warming and other factors, and then climate drought, I think we could also then include a number of historical and contemporary factors that causes certain areas to experience drought at any stage. So
let's look at the suggestion that government must not get into any knee-jerk reactions and as far as policy is concerned. What are the potential reactions that government could have? One would imagine that there would be some planning that would have gone into coming up with policies, because we've known for a few months now that El Nino was upon us this year.
Yeah. So I think it's also how we define knee-jerk. I think we do need drastic action. And I think knee-jerk is then, the fear of just dumping a number of programs guided by policies that could perhaps not be aligned to some of the historical and contemporary challenges that we face. So I think communities at the coalface who actually experience the real impact of climate change are looking for real things from government, things that will make their lives easier, especially as it relates to climate change. At the recent conference that was hosted by the Nelson Mandela University on behalf of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, I think the participants, which included government representatives, identified that we really need an integrated approach in supporting existing responses to climate change, and then trying to harmonize these to work in a more complementary fashion. So the knee-jerk is not, again, a massive dumping of ideas and thoughts, but really a careful consideration of what is out there and how these could directly impact the communities who are most impacted by climate change.
Now, a few weeks ago, we heard from the Zambian president, who declared a national state of disaster as far as drought is concerned in that country. Now, whilst the implications of drought are not as great on South Africa, they have affected many countries in the SADC region. Are we reacting? Do we have a plan as a country?
I think we have numerous plans. I think the national disaster or the international disaster should be around poverty, with drought being one of those pillars as a result that obviously impacts the majority of people living in precarious situations. And I think to bring it home more closely to South Africa, we have to remain mindful of some of the historical and contemporary challenges that exacerbates the precarity of the majority of our population. At the university, we are exploring especially the impact, and we propositioning the triple helix model of marginalization that exacerbates the impact of climate change, especially as it relates to food insecurity. It's the historical, where we know pre-democratic, we had massive structural marginalization of the majority of our population. We have post-democratic marginalization, where we see a lack of service delivery by government, in particular to service the majority of our people. And then we have in-community marginalization, where the emergence through the democratic state has caused new social dynamics that perhaps we're not conscious of when we try to implement policies or plans. And that causes a lot of the social tension that we see in our communities across the country.
Well, Dr. Damons, you talk about social tensions, and one is likely to believe that food prices are likely to rise from the look of things at the moment. How is government likely to manage that? I mean, is it avoidable?
I'm not a government official. I'm at the university. And I think if we understand, if we look at the economic climate, I think globally, continentally, and nationally, I think it's under severe pressure because of us not paying attention, I think, more carefully to the factors that impact the need for a rise in food products. I think the growing inequalities, the growing distance between the haves and the have-nots, us not working in complementary ways to try and respond to this broad range of challenges, this constant advocation for profit above people. And I think these are some of the contemporary challenges that we definitely have to be more considerate of if we are going to really have meaningful impacts, whether from government, whether from civil society, whether from business, and the academic space as well.